Johnny Five. I saw this question earlier and didn't get to it. Thank you for asking it again. Johnny Five says, racing is not seeing numbers bounce back yet to pre-pandemic levels. Just over 700 people ran the qualifier this year compared to over 1,000 in 2019. How do we improve this? Johnny, this is an interesting one because I think that spring of 2020 is the busiest I've ever been and some of the best sales numbers I've ever seen. Busiest I've ever been in terms of emails and so forth. And I think what happened was everybody was staying at home and not going to work, and everybody got a check from the government for $1,200, and a lot of people used that to get into FPV. But that didn't really stick, I think. It went down, and I know for a fact that many stores have seen really low numbers in the last year. I think that unwillingness to travel for reasons which are not important for us to argue about in the chat. For some reason, many people are less willing to travel today than they were in 2019. And that's got to be cutting into the ability to race. What is it going to take to get that back? That's I don't know, man. That's tough. That's a big problem that is bigger than FPV. I definitely think some people are concerned about regulations and it's scaring them off. I've had people ask me, with this remote ID thing, people ask me in generally, the gist of the question is FPV dead? Is FPV dead? And my answer is like, dude, I can't predict the future, but I'm going to keep flying my quad. One way or another, I'm going to keep flying my quad. And if you don't feel that way, if it's a year before individuals will even have to be expected to comply with the law or not. So you got a whole nother year before FPV is dead, if it is, which I'm not saying it is. And you're like, well, I think I'm going to get out. Bye. No hard feelings. See ya. I'm not going to don't. What are you going to do? I mean, you're just not that committed. So, I'm going to keep flying. I know not everybody feels that way, though. For lots of people, excuse me, it's just a hobby. And, if it's not FPV, then they'll go do something else. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, that's just not how I feel about it. What can we do to get the numbers up, Johnny Five? That's a tough one, man. I don't have a simple answer for you there, man. The factors that are driving people out are so much bigger. Things like unwillingness to travel in general. I don't know. I mean, flight numbers are up. I don't know. Maybe people are willing to travel. Things like worries about remote ID or something. What are you going to do about that? So when I look at the things that make FPV grow, the biggest single spike in FPV that I ever saw, I mean, I've seen growth from like down here to up here over the course of 3 years or whatever. But the biggest single spike I saw was in spring of 2020, which was a time when all kinds of weird shit was going on with the economy and then I got 3 times as many emails as I normally get. Like literally my emails and messages tripled. And I saw this giant spike in my affiliate sales. And I talked to people who have stores and they saw a giant spike in sales. maybe not the biggest ever, but approaching some of the biggest numbers in the last like 5 or 6 years. It didn't last though. It went right back down again. But my point is, what caused that spike? Big things way out of our control. So John, when you say what could get people into racing, if big things that are out of our control are causing the numbers to go down, what can we do to make them go back up again? I don't know. Maybe we can't. I mean, awareness of the hobby, things like DRL, getting drone racing onto NBC, awareness of the hobby is a big one. Unfortunately, I have to say, another thing that probably is pushing people out is price. Everything in FPV is twice as expensive or more than it used to be. When you could get a flight controller and an ESC for $50, you could go race, and if you blow your ESC, it's not the end of the world. Motors haven't doubled in price, actually. That's interesting. Electronics, though. Now that a flight controller and an ESC is $80 to $140, many people who could have gotten in at the $50 level can't. So, I mean, what can we do about that? I mean, well, I don't know. You know, food is 40%, I'm told. Food is 40% more expensive than it was 2 years ago. Let's just tackle drone racing. I think that there are macro scale issues that are driving this trend, and I don't know if we can solve it without solving those macro scale issues. So, I don't know, John, what do you think? What do you think? I don't have an answer. I'll talk about it for a while, but I don't have an answer. Joseph Dawson, thanks for $2 Canadian. Remote ID enforcement will be 0 and USA only. Joseph, I know you're Canadian because you gave me Canadian dollars. Of course, remote ID enforcement will be USA only. It's a law. It's a United States law. It's a United States regulation. There's no misconception here that like remote ID is global. It's US only. You need people who enjoy racing. The other thing about racing is that like most people aren't going to win. You just need people who think it's fun. It is fun. I wonder to what degree racing is down. Now here's maybe a hopeful note, John. Racing is down, but like Cinewhoops are up. Are a whole lot of people flying? Like I've seen a lot more interest in 7-inch long range, 3-inch Cinewhoops, Cinelifters even. I've seen a lot more interest in that in the last couple years than there used to be. It used to be most stuff was 5-inch racing and 5-inch freestyle, and then maybe the tiny whoops. I wonder if FPV is diversifying. To some degree, maybe that's true, but I do think that numbers are down. I think that the number of pilots is lower and the sales are definitely lower.